I have a confession to make. I get a lot of phishing emails and I just can't help but click on those links. I just need to know where they go. So today I'm gonna click through on a classic Bitcoin scam that tricks you into sending these scammers money. And it all starts with a phishing email. The phishing email is nothing really spectacular. There's not a lot of creativity and it's fairly easy to spot. But the cool thing about this is that they are using a Google form to send that phishing email. So it looks like it's coming from Google instead of coming from the hacker. The lure that this hacker is using to try to get me to click on this phishing email is that I won some free Bitcoin. Who doesn't want free Bitcoin? Now, if you dig into this, the context really doesn't make any sense. They're talking about people that I have no idea who they are, and the language just doesn't really make that much sense. But free Bitcoin. I mean, what am I gonna say no for? So as I scroll to the bottom of this email, I get the link that I'm gonna have to click on. And the cool thing here is that it's another Google service. It's a Google Doc. So I go ahead and click on it, and this leads us to the next phase of the attack. The Google Doc is nothing fancy. It's going to mimic what a Google form looks like, but it's going to include the link to the hacker's website. The reason the hacker does this is because now that Google Doc is housing what is the malicious link, and it's not going to get caught by email filtering. Now, when we click on the link, this is where the real scam starts to happen. It starts with a loading screen that looks pretty legit, and it pops me into this landing site that says, I've got 3/4 of a Bitcoin that are just waiting for me. After it goes into the next page, this is where some of the English is getting lost in translation here. It's saying that I am a Bitcoin transfer. I don't really know what that means, but we can just chalk that up to bad English. The hackers here are trying to use a classic persuasion technique of a time limit to try to get you to take action. So in this case, it's saying that I have 24 hours to receive that transfer request to get that free Bitcoin. So obviously I want to get that free Bitcoin. So I'm going to click through here and it's going to add another loading screen. It just adds to the overall feel of this being legitimate, even though it's obviously not. And we hit our first hurdle here. We have to validate our identity. So this is where we'll just tag in John Doe here to help us out. All right, well, that was easy. So now we're on to the next phase of this to try to get our free Bitcoin. But we have another catch. Now it's saying that we have to pay a transaction fee in order to get that free Bitcoin. In this case, it's going to be 0.7% of the total transaction. So in order to do this, I have to pay off the balance. So I'm going to click through again, and we have our next prompt here. We're going to have to provide some more information on who we are and a Bitcoin wallet that transfer can eventually go to. After we enter that information, it's going to go to another loading screen that has a fancy little progress bar that just adds legitimacy to this overall transaction. And then we're going to get to the next phase of this where we get to the payment spot. So this page is telling us that everything is ready to go. We just have to pay our transaction fee in order to get the free Bitcoin. In this case, it's going to be a $76 transaction fee that we're going to have to pay. And our friendly scammer here is telling us that once we pay that, within 10 minutes, we'll get our free Bitcoin. I can't wait. When we go to pay, we get another screen, and it actually pops up here a legitimate transfer service for Bitcoin. And so I'm going to enter in some more information using our friend John Doe here. Now, obviously, I messed this up. I put his last name instead of his email address, so thankfully we have his email address handy here. Now, when we click through, we can send Bitcoin, $76 worth, to the attacker here so that we can then get our free Bitcoin. Now, this should go without saying that if we sent that transaction fee, we're not going to receive the Bitcoin. This is a scam after all. So make sure you spot the fish, and if you ever accidentally click through this, just stop. It's not going to cause any harm to your systems, but just make sure you, your friends, your family, nobody sends money during this scam.